I'm completely against the districting. I don't want one member of the City Council representing me. I want the entire City Council representing me.
Cities in San Diego's North County are moving to split into districts, but not everyone is on board.
And it went from that all students should pass to all students should be getting A's.
Are students ready for college? Allegations tonight that a San Diego charter school's numbers aren't telling the whole truth. And linking the future to the past, students at High Tech High are connecting historical art movements to their lives today. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Ebony Monet. The 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in Seattle heard arguments today over President Trump's travel ban. A 3-judge panel will decide whether to uphold a Hawaii judge's decision to block the ban in March, which would suspend the nation's refugee program and temporarily bar new visas from citizens from 6 Muslim-majority countries, including Syria, Somalia, and Iran. Both sides presented their arguments.
Our Constitution and laws are better than this. Our founders wanted America to be a beacon on our coast, and that beacon at the end of the day is not the quality of our sports teams or the quality of our soil. That beacon ultimately is the majestic Article 3 and the grand contours of the First Amendment.
Counsel is right that this country is a beacon, but what makes it a beacon is the rule of law. Under the settled legal rules for justiciability, constitutional and statutory interpretation, and injunctive relief, what the president did here falls squarely within his constitutional and statutory authority.
The president ever disavowed?
The judges did not say when they might make a decision. President Trump plans to name San Diego developer Doug Manchester as U.S. ambassador to the Bahamas. The White House made the announcement today. Manchester is best known in San Diego for his downtown developments and as the former owner of the San Diego Union Tribune. He was a major local supporter of the Trump campaign. The nomination will have to be approved by the Senate. San Diego Unified libraries will remain staffed next year. KPBS education reporter Megan Burke says the district and its employees union have shaken hands on a deal to avert layoffs for dozens of library workers.
The library technicians, mental health clinicians, and police officers have all agreed to 14 furlough days. Now, those furloughs will not impact the school year. They'll be taken when kids are out of school. About 500 teachers will also return to work next year. Their jobs were saved by an early retirement program. But not all teacher jobs were saved, and about 700 classified employees remain on the chopping block. Those include professionals who help students with special needs and English language learners. Now, like the teachers, some of those pink slips may be rescinded. We're learning today that about 500 classified employees have told the district they plan to retire early. Megan Burks, KPBS News.
Gompers Preparatory Academy has risen from an underperforming public school to a nationally recognized charter school in San Diego. Today, it boasts that nearly all of its graduates go on to college. But iNews Source reporter Brad Racino says there's another side to the Gompers story, one teachers want to make public, they say, to protect students.
There is a lot of good at Gompers. Teachers, students, and the community rallied behind the school's charter movement in 2005.
We have everything in place. This is going to be great. It's going to be a brand new start, brand new school. It's going to be good.
Today, gates that once contained gang riots are gone. The campus for 6th through 12th graders is spotless. Attendance rates are up, expulsions are down, and everyone is on a college-bound track. Here's the school's director, Vincent Riverroll, celebrating the 2016 graduating class. Yet state standardized test scores show a student body woefully unprepared for college compared to nearly every other school in the district, the county, and the state.
Being here, it's just like I felt like the other kids were so much smarter than me.
Deontay Harper graduated Gompers with A's and B's in 2014 and was accepted to UCSD on a full ride.
I'm like, where are you guys getting this from? You know, like, you learned that? You're like, oh yeah, we learned all this in high school. Really?
Last year, Gompers juniors had an average GPA of 4.7 out of 5 their first semester. But only 6% were college-ready based on their SAT scores, and 91% tested below the standard for math. Teachers told iNewsSource they're pressured by administration to pass all students with flying colors, no matter the competency.
That was a constant pressure there. Initially, it was that students shouldn't fail. The teacher is failing, not the students. And it went from that all students should pass to all students should be getting A's.
Donnie Powers taught at Gompers for 5 years, earning high marks on his evaluations and praise from his colleagues. He left the school in 2014, saying he was fed up with the school's promotion of fake numbers.
No, I don't think it's better to just pass them and move them on to college. I think that's beyond cruel. These numbers are dirty, they're not authentic, and now you're promoting them.
iNewsSource spoke with 10 more former Gompers teachers who recounted experiences similar to Powers. Now, Gompers wouldn't let us videotape a 2-hour interview last week with board members and senior staff, but they denied the allegations and said all the teachers we spoke with were disgruntled. They said the school is improving on its test scores and is helping an underserved community. I'm Brad Racino with iNewsSource, an independently funded nonprofit partner of KPBS.
So joining me now in studio is iNewsSource reporter Brad Racino. Brad, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Can you talk to me about the scope of your investigation?
Sure. So we've spent probably the past 3 months speaking to as many former teachers and students and administrators as we possibly could. This encompassed about 11 former teachers and administrators plus 1 student who was on the record. This took quite a while to gain their trust, but overall it seemed to be a group of people who have been there for enough time to really have the expertise to tell us what was going on. These are people who were there from between 2003 and through 2014.
And in the last few years, many people would say that Gompers has made strides with more students graduating and going on to 4-year colleges and just developing a sense of pride on campus. But in your report, there's references to alleged teacher abuse and grade inflation. Can you tell me what exactly is being alleged and by whom?
Right. Well, everything you initially said is absolutely correct. The school, I hope this story doesn't take away from all of the good that this school has done over the years. But what is being alleged is that teachers are being pressured by administration to pass these kids with flying colors no matter their competency. So kids who probably should be getting F's or D's or C's on paper, they're getting B's and A's, and it's kind of setting them up for failure post-graduation. And in addition, the teachers also told us that they themselves were pretty much abused by the administration. They were told that they were murdering children by giving them C's or lower, that they were shooting kids off into the sky to die if they had anything below that grade. So these are young teachers too. They come there pretty early on in life, and to be a 20 or 21-year-old teacher being told that you're murdering kids kind of traumatized them a bit. So
what do officials at Gompers have to say?
Well, we tried to speak to the director, Vincent Riverroll, twice, and both times we were not allowed to. We had a 2-hour meeting last week with the Gompers board chairman, Cecil Stepp, and the Gompers vice chairman, Bud Meehan, and they pretty much discounted everything we had to say. We went to them with not only the 11 teachers, but also data, hard numbers, and they told us nothing we said really mattered, that they didn't believe any of the teachers and that the data didn't matter either. They believed that they were progressing over the years and that every progression, every percentage point they raise is successful, is a mark of success for them. So that's how we left it with them.
So of course it's about the kids. How is this impacting students?
That's what we're trying to get a handle on. So we have one student who went on the record. I spoke to several others, but this was the only one that would speak to us on camera, who told us that he is just struggling. He was not prepared for what happened the moment he stepped foot on college campuses. And this is a story we heard over and over again from other teachers who kept in contact with their students because they love these kids. They talked to them even after they left the school. And they said they hear this all the time. They're either dropping out or they're failing out or they're just struggling to hold on, and they were not properly prepared for what they stepped into on a college campus.
iNewsSource reporter Brad Racino, thank you so much.
Thank you.
San Diego State University has announced a new leader. Starting July 1st, longtime school executive Sally Roush will take over as interim president. The school says she'll be the first woman to ever head the school. She's taking over for Elliot Hirschman, who's leaving after 6 years. Roush retired from SDSU in 2013 after 31 years with the university. Trustees expect her to remain in the position for a year while they search for a permanent replacement. A report tracking San Diego's quality of life is offering a mix of good and bad news in its regional snapshot. KPBS environment reporter Eric Anderson has more.
6 of the dashboard's indicators moved up, 6 moved down, and 3 remained the same. The Center for Sustainable Energy's Equinox project looks at indicators that are designed to gauge the quality of life. The dashboard finds San Diego residents are using less water, but residents were asked to stay out of the ocean because of pollution more often in 2016 than the year before.
Beaches are more than just a beach. They're our most important open space. And what we're learning when these beaches are closed is that we cut off the fabric of our community life here in San Diego. We are the beach. The beach is the engine of our happiness and our quality of life.
The dashboard finds people are throwing away more trash, and that strains local landfills. But the economy is performing well, and communities are developing climate action plans in an effort to soften their carbon footprint. Nearly 30,000 solar installations continue to be a bright spot for the region and the quality of life dashboard. But the cost of housing remains a concern, as does the impact from transportation.
At a time when we're discussing the environment, and this is the biggest discussion in Sacramento and all over the state, we had more unhealthy air days in 2016 than we did in 2015.
The Equinox project has compiled the dashboard since 2010. The report aggregates data from more than 30 sources. Project organizers hope the information will help local leaders shape public policy. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
By the time the 2018 elections roll around, more than half of the cities in San Diego County may be voting for their city council representatives by district rather than by a citywide vote. KPBS North County reporter Allison St. John says 5 North County cities have decided to switch to district elections, but not because they wanted to.
As a mayor, I'll open this public hearing and come back to the council members.
At a recent Oceanside City Council meeting, about 40 people spoke, and most of them were opposed to the idea of dividing their city into council districts.
I am completely against the districting. I don't want one member of the city council representing me. I want the entire city council representing me. If you divide your citizens into districts, then you divide the city and you divide its citizens. All of you should represent all of us.
But at the end of the night, the council voted 3-2 to make the change to district elections.
I don't see a win in it for us.
Councilman Jerry Kern cited a letter the city had received threatening a lawsuit under the California Voting Rights Act if it did not make the change to district elections within 90 days.
I understand what you guys want, and I've been with you all the time. But at the bottom line is, I have to protect the assets of the city. So I'm going to support this, even though I don't want to.
Other California cities, Modesto and Palmdale, have each spent more than $3 million of public money in fines and legal fees after failing to fight the change to district elections. The attorney who won those suits and sent the letter to Oceanside is Kevin Schenkman, acting on behalf of the Southwest Voter Registration Project, a Latino voting rights organization. Schenkman says he is simply enforcing the California Voting Rights Act on behalf of minorities disenfranchised by citywide elections.
The city councils end up only needing to cater to their base, and that often results in the minority communities not getting their share of services and not having anyone on the city council that they can go to with their problems.
A quiet revolution is happening in the way that local officials are getting elected. The California Voting Rights Act, passed in 2001, created the tools to force cities to change from at-large to district-wide elections. But only now is the momentum taking off.
The city of San Diego, with 1.3 million people, has elected its city council members by district since 1988. But until 5 years ago, all other residents in the county voted for their city council members at large. That began to change in 2012 when Chula Vista moved to district elections after a public vote. Escondido followed, and El Cajon, San Marcos, Vista, Oceanside, and Carlsbad. But these 5 North County cities were all threatened with legal action if they did not make the change. Escondido Mayor Sam Abed, a Republican, is still angry. He says the city already had a Latina on the council.
So what's wrong with Escondido? Nothing. It's just nothing but a political game. The politicians are using the districts to make sure they give the minorities an advantage over the regular residents. There is no need to create a district.
Abed says district elections may work for bigger cities, but for cities like Escondido, which has about 150,000 residents, it could lead to turf wars.
It becomes a tribal approach. I don't like it.
So far, district elections have not changed the makeup of Escondido City Council. The incumbents all won re-election last year.
I'm just urging people to please go to the meetings.
But Oceanside City Councilwoman Esther Sanchez, who supports the change, says she thinks voting by district will eventually make a difference.
I do believe that district elections will bring us more democracy to our elections. I do believe that our neighborhoods will finally be better represented.
Sanchez says more people will be able to afford to run for office.
And have real elections, not, where the incumbent can raise $100,000, $150,000 for a city council seat that only pays like $27,000 a year. So I think bringing it down closer to the neighborhood level, I think we'll have better elections, better class of candidates, and those that will truly be responsive to the community.
The criteria for drawing the district boundary lines cannot be predominantly racial.
So basically it's up to you to let us know what it is that you organize around and basically what you would need representation on.
Karen McDonald, a consultant, explained citizens can choose the boundary lines based on who shares their interests.
So how do you document a community of interest? You basically just think about the following questions. What bounds your community?
Under the threat of legal action, a city has only 90 days to draw the district boundary lines. The city of Carlsbad was the most recent to receive a letter and voted last week to make the change. But Attorney Schenkman says other, even smaller coastal cities in San Diego County can expect to hear from him soon. Allison St. John, KPBS News.
California lawmakers are introducing legislation to make voting easier for people who don't speak English well. It's a response to a new study that finds that California voters with limited English skills had a tough time casting ballots last November. That's about 7 million people, a large majority in Asian American and Latino communities. New legislation would work to provide training to poll workers to help with these voters and more copies of translated ballots.
These are individuals who need an advocate to stand up for them and allow them to have a right that is already constitutionally given to them, but because of implementation challenges and the lack of full language access, it's being denied them.
Lawmakers say it will cost up to $100,000 per county to begin implementing the new legislation. Well, it looks like San Diego is going to be warm and sunny this week. Regina Miller has tonight's forecast.
Well, taking a look across the southwest here, we have a dip in the jet stream winds. That's keeping things unsettled just right along and to the west of the mountains where we have some scattered light precipitation. Now, for the metro areas tonight, we have a temperature of 57 degrees and we will have thickening clouds. Taking a look at Oceanside, 52 degrees. Borrego Springs could see a little bit of light shower activity around. Mount Laguna also some light showers around. Temperature of 34 in Mount Laguna. Borrego Springs bottoms out at 56 degrees, and into Ramona you'll be at 49 degrees for the overnight hours. Now it is going to gradually start to get a little bit better around Southern California as this system starts to kick eastward into Arizona and parts of New Mexico, but we still are going to see the temperatures cool. We'll be at 60 degrees in Alpine, 64 in San Diego. We have the morning clouds and then sunshine in the afternoon. Oceanside's at 66 degrees. Into Mount Laguna, 50 degrees with intervals of clouds and sun. And then looking into the late week, we are going to see sunshine and gradually going to see things starting to really warm up in this area. So taking a look at your Tuesday here, some low clouds breaking along the coast, 66 degrees. Wednesday will also have those morning low clouds, but those will break for sunshine and 68. On Thursday, we start to warm up into the low 70s, and by Friday, mostly sunny and nice, 75 degrees, and then look at Saturday, 80 degrees with mostly sunny skies. Inland locations, you have the low clouds breaking on Tuesday at 66. Another place where we start to get a little bit warmer each day. We get to 70 degrees on Wednesday, perhaps an afternoon shower around the inland locations. And then on Thursday, warmer, 76 degrees, mostly sunny on Friday, 81, and we'll be at 88 and mostly sunny on Saturday. In the mountain locations, we're only at 50 degrees for Tuesday, warmer, and we will have clouds and some sun. Mostly sunny and rather cold, though, on your Wednesday, 56 degrees. And then on Thursday, 62 degrees, cool with some sunshine, brilliant sunshine on Friday and 66. And then we get warmer and mostly sunny on Saturday at 74 degrees. In the desert locations on Tuesday, 79 degrees, partly sunny and cool, mostly sunny, still relatively cool there in the desert locations, 83 degrees on Wednesday, 89 and mostly sunny on Thursday. And then for Friday, we're back into the 90s, 92 degrees, plenty of sunshine, mostly sunny, very warm on Saturday with a high temperature of 96 degrees. I'm Regina Miller, KPBS News.
Tomorrow night, High Tech High School will hold an exhibition of more than 24 interactive art projects by its graduating media arts students, connecting their lives to art movements of the past. KPBS arts reporter Beth Accomando visits the classroom to let the teachers and students provide this preview.
Hello, I'm Margaret Noble, and you are at High Tech High Media Arts. Right now, you're in the Art and Technology classroom. I am working with my collaborator, Sonny Vonderspeck, with 50 students who have done conceptual research, computer programming, and digital media design to create interactive experiences that relate to their lives now and how it connects with historical art movements.
Our art movement is Baroque, and we're focusing on Italian Baroque, which centered around the Catholic Reformation.
We decided to make a game that would more or less replicate what a propaganda artist would go through in World War II. And we did this by creating sort of like a choose-your-own-adventure style, multiple option, multiple choice game.
Pretty much our whole project was based off of new media art, so we chose Dada, and then we connected it to the present using vaporwave art.
These projects involve their research-based projects. In my class, they work on research papers, and we start with these larger questions of what was happening in the world, what is an art movement, and what is the art movement pushing against, or what does a movement in history or a social movement push against, what is that history?
Dada was like an art form that was reacting to the war. So what the Dada did is it questioned what art itself was.
And then we moved to now, which is what are we pushing against now? What are artists doing? What do these students want to say? What is their message?
What we're using with Vaporwave is Vaporwave just looks like a bunch of random images that are popped up because you don't understand the imagery behind it unless they explain it to you, and it's considered not art. So we're basically proving that Vaporwave is art by using data in the past.
Each student actually has an interactive experience. So they're going to invite you to their station, they're going to facilitate a conversation with you, and you're going to walk into their graphics essentially with your mind and go through a lot of different choices that they are hoping will provoke you to think deeper about their topic.
We wanted to show the Syrian refugee crisis in a different way. We've all seen the shocking photos of the child on the beach, and I think we wanted to show something that wasn't as abrasive, but it showed the struggle that these refugees are facing.
I guess what our interactive piece is trying to say is that anyone can see this art. You know, you could go on the internet and access it, and it's just very interactive, and it tries to, it basically highlights all the characteristics of Baroque without having to get in a plane and go all the way to Germany to see all these things.
It says, we need a piece of artwork from you that will increase production. So we have multiple choices here. So we have a comical poster about the enemy, a song that inspires women to join in the workforce, a poster that reminds America to stay focused, a poster that will scare Americans into working.
You could think of some of them as video games, some as interactive art pieces. Some are very literal and documentary style, some are more abstract, but the hope is that each one starts a conversation.
We're trying to have students leave the classroom with an inquiry and leaving with wanting to ask more questions about the world and not have this idea where, oh, I'm finished, I'm throwing my books on the ground, I'm graduating, but, you know, questioning the world around them.
So I learned to take the time to look at an art piece instead of just walk past it and just be like, oh, that just looks like a rose, it doesn't mean anything to me. What Vaporwave has shown me is that not only is it just not a random art piece, but it says that anything can be art with a message, and you just have to take the time to look at it.
I'm really proud of their work. I think it's really excellent, and I hope that we get a lot of audience members to join us and see what high school kids can do.
The exhibition Old School versus Now is open to the public tomorrow evening from 5 to 7. It's at High Tech High Media Arts at Liberty Station. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.